Hi folks, this is Sue Bell from Market Domination Solutions, and we're here today to talk about mass page domination. So I took a quick poll before we got started, and and all of the screens are going to come up completely. Oh well, that's fine. So I took a poll before we got started to find out where people were at, and we've got some folks in the audience who aren't familiar with mass page generators. So I want to talk for a minute about what they are and why you want them. Mass page generators are pieces of software. They can be blog plugins or they can be standalone applications that generate a huge number of web pages pretty darn quickly. So in other words, you give them a template of what you want to have built, and you give them the parameters that they should build them to. For example, you might have a list of 1,000 different products and their description, and you want it to go out and basically build you an e-com site. Or you might have 500 different geolocations, and you want it to go out and build you a web page about SEO on 500 different geolocation pages, right? So that's the idea behind it. Different pieces of software do different things. So in other words, there's certain plugins and certain software that are specifically geared toward building out geo-targeted stuff. There's other ones that are specifically geared toward building out directories. There's other ones that are specifically geared toward building out e-com sites. And then there are others that are pretty much, whatever you feed them is what they do. So it's just nothing but a bunch of different places where you can stick data, and then it combines all the data and creates your pages. So I've been playing with these. I've played with them off and on for the last, I don't know how long. I mean, because I'm a programmer, because I was a database programmer, more specifically, databases lend themselves extremely well toward creating web pages. And so the idea was there from the very beginning of the internet that, hey, wow, you could take a database and do some serious damage with this. And so I've been playing with them for a very, very, very long time. But aside from e-commerce sites, I steered away from a lot of them. They have a tendency of being up and down with search engines. A lot of them create a footprint. And it's only been relatively recently that software has really advanced far enough that there's some good programs out there now that'll allow you to create sites that have little or no footprint. So a couple of years ago, we started to, well, it's longer than that. I actually wrote a piece of software, our video, wow, I don't remember what we called it, it was a video silo plugin we created that was a mass page generator that we did when I was back with Network Empire, and that worked well up until a couple of years ago. And so at that point, I started looking at other options. What were other plugins out there? What did they do? I have a new version of my my video silo mass page generator that I need to try again. I tried it a year ago. It was still working really, really well, but I need to try it again and see what it's doing. And in the meantime, I've kind of moved away from that because I was looking more toward geo type of rankings. So that's where I am right now. I've been perfecting for the last year, particularly. I've been perfecting geo rankings with 2 or 3 different options, and I've got my poor cat. I've got it to the point where I'm actually selling these to businesses, to local businesses, because I can come in and rank for a bunch of neighborhoods and smaller suburbs, and I can literally rank within a week for right around 50% of the target keywords. and then go after everything that's not low-hanging fruit over the course of the next few months, right? So it's pretty cool. It's like, you put up the site, you tell Google about it, and I'm straightforward with it. I tell Google about these sites, and then sit down with a bowl of popcorn and watch the rankings go. Um, so that's the backstory. So what I want to talk about today, I want to give you guys an overview for mass page builders in general. We're going to have a course. This is the beginning of that course. And it's going to be, we're going to get into enough stuff so that those of you in the audience who are doing mass builds, I've got a few tricks up my sleeve that I'm going to share with you guys today. And we'll talk broad brushstrokes about some other things. And I think there'll be something in the webinar for everybody. All right, so another sip of coffee, and I'll run down what the overview is. So Spintax is a way of creating content, or a type of content, a format of content that allows a spinner, cleverly named, to create a different version of your content on every page. And so there's really simple ways of creating Spintax, there's intermediate ways of creating Spintax, and then there's really advanced ways of creating Spintax. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. Plugins. So as I said, there's two different kinds of builders. There's builders that build in HTML, and there's builders that build in WordPress. And some of the builders that build in WordPress are very full-featured, but most of them have some basic stuff that's missing. We're going to talk about some of the things that are missing, and I'm going to give you suggestions for how to fill in some of those holes. We're going to talk a little bit about how to rank for 250,000 words on a website. I don't track all 250,000 words, but those are the things that get me excited and keep me up late nights. And I use a crafty content structure to rank for that many keywords. We'll talk a little bit about that. In the course, we're going to do an over-the-shoulder mass build, which I'm not going to really get into today. We'll talk about how to rank for tougher keywords. We'll talk about ways that you can monetize the sites once you've got them ranking. I do have 25,000. Thanks. It probably is 25,000. I probably wrote it right and said it wrong. We're going to talk about 6 different ways of monetizing websites once you get them up. We're going to talk about how you can grab more SERP space with these websites. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my step-by-step checklist. All right. So, ranking, the mystery. This is, let me share this link with you because I find it both interesting and humorous. This is a thread in Twitter started by John Mueller from Google. I'm sure you guys know who he is. 96, yeah, that's the right link. So this is a link. Holly, if you guys can't read it, I'll just read it out loud for a second. The first 2 pages of Google search almost never surface blogs or personal websites anymore. Every worthwhile question you could think to ask has been anticipated and occupied by search engine optimized by assholes. The internet hasn't been free for a really long time. So I actually dug into that thread to see what people were saying. It was really interesting, and there's some seasoned SEOs in there that discuss what they believe it is that make pages rank, and there was a lot of back and forth. John, interestingly enough, was mostly just asking questions. He wasn't really offering any information, but it was interesting to see what other people were saying, and I smiled at a lot of it. I might be one of those search engine optimizing assholes. I might resemble that remark. And so that was the thing that I found the most humorous. So today I'm going to share with you ways that you can become one of those assholes too. So dusting off the ranking labs. So as I said, back earlier this year, I was just getting ready to dust off the ranking labs. And if you haven't heard the story, I'll make it short for those who have. So I was creating a bunch of sites for testing purposes, and I thought I'd create some of these geo-targeted sites for testing purposes because they were the things that I was really looking to rank anyway. And before I could even start putting inbound links to them, they started ranking like crazy. So particularly for the last 7 months, I've been in serious testing mode with just what you need to do 100% on site. Well, almost. I do a little bit off site, but my focus has really been on site. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt what aspects of on site are most important, particularly in the mass build sites. Thanks, Jess. All right, so content, hands down. So there was some deliberation in there, and somebody said, it doesn't matter whether or not you write good content. And yes, they're right. Good content isn't what matters. Size is what matters. Minimum 1,000 words on the page is more for competitive markets. I've told a few of my members that, and their eyes get big. I mean, you just hear silence on the other end of the Skype call, right? I can see their eyes getting big. It's so funny. They're like 1,000 words. And I'm like, yeah, minimum starts there, goes up. As much as 5,000 per page for competitive markets. And roughly 20% of the page can be the same from page to page, right? We were talking about spin tax. So you can have roughly 20% of that page that's not spin tax. And if it's more than that, then it starts to lower your indexation rates. It looks across the site and it says, hey, there's too much on too many of these pages that's the same, and it starts to lower the indexation. So the solution to this is spin tax. And the problem with spin tax is that the more readable it is, like the more carefully you write it so that when it's spun, it's correct, then it tends to be a smaller site build, right? You end up with not as many variations possible that are going to be unique. So so the solution to that is going to be hitting a middle ground where you've got it somewhat readable, mostly readable, and yet enough of it that's going to be unique that you can build whatever site you want to build, right? So at the moment I'm playing with sites largely between the 500 and 2,000 page size. I know, I have friends who tell me about, friends and members who tell me about, oh yeah, I put up a 10,000 page site or a 20,000 page site. And I'm like, and how many of those pages did you get indexed? So what I have found is don't start with more than about 500 pages. Let the 500 pages get indexed, and then add another 500 pages. Let those pages get indexed, let them start to get some traffic, and then add some more. When you put too many pages out all at one time, even if they've got unique content and they're good, if you put too many pages out, Google just goes, how did you do that? Long ago and far away, Google said more than 10,000 pages raises a flag. Now, the good thing is it doesn't raise a permanent flag. All you have to do is change your site, lower it to 500 pages, and Google will immediately, like within 24 hours, slurp up your pages and index you. So, one of the things I found is fascinating is how many times I've screwed up and how forgiving Google is at this juncture. It did not used to be that way. Ranking's actually fun these days. All right, so the best results when it comes to spinning, I'm still talking about spinning. So give me a 1 if I need to put up a really quick example of what spin tax looks like. And a 2 if you're good with where we're at and you've kind of following what we're doing. All right, I've got 2s, so I'm just going to sally forward. In the training, I'll have some specific examples. I'll go through how to construct spin tax and all that kind of good stuff. But for today, we'll deal with theory. So block spinning or super spun content is like where entire paragraphs are optional. So like in one version of the spin text, you'll have paragraph A and not paragraph B. And in version 2, you'll have not paragraph A, but you will have paragraph B, right? So having that block kind of spinning is the best, right? That's going to bring you your best results because that gets hugely unique content on different pages. Non-text elements. Let me give you, I have a fun piece of thing for you guys. Let me see where I am. Here. So non-text elements, I also swap. And I'm going to give you a little piece of spin text that you can take with you. Let me know if that comes through okay. Let me actually, I have it in a notepad file. I'll talk about it here in a second. Non-text elements, I also swap, both location, size, and position. And then your spin text, it should be broken up. I think, me personally, I've done some spin text where it was just large blocks and it didn't do as well. If I break it up into paragraphs and if I have headers in there and I'm spinning the headers, then it seems to work better. But it also gives me more headers where I can fit keywords into the H2 and H3 tags. So, okay, good. So let me find this and share this with you guys for a second. View. Let me just explain what this is for a second. Maybe bigger. Okay. That should be plenty big. So this is for image spin text, right? So this gives you like 3 or 4 images that you can spin. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to change up the displayed width of the image. So one time the width is going to be 350, another time it's going to be 370, another time it's going to be 380, 400, 460. Those are pixels, right? So different width. And then sometimes it's going to appear on the right, and other times it's going to appear on the left. Sometimes the margin's going to be 5, sometimes 15, sometimes 25. And then it gets into the source, right? So you've got one image that's here, and then your next image is here, down to here, and your next image is here. Now, I've got a handful of things here. My code is actually much longer than this. I made it shorter so that it was more manageable and easier to see. You can put in as many widths here as you want. Sadly, there's nothing besides right and left, right? So you're kind of stuck there. But you can have different margins. I've usually got a minimum of 5 images that I have, and I've got tabs. If you guys watched or were on Evil Trick number 42, I talked about spin tags in there, and I talked about the tabs. I didn't talk so much about spin tags, a little bit, but mostly I talked about my tab thing, where I've got tabs in the bottom of my content that's hidden, right? That's where I stick my spin tags, and that's where I put this. So each tab, I target a different primary keyword. So one page should target one theme. This is important. I can't remember. I might have wanted to talk about this on a different page, but we'll do it here because we're here. So like Google considers HVAC and AC, and to a lesser extent heaters, synonymous, right? So I targeted HVAC, AC, and heating repair all on the same page, but within my tabs in the bottom, I have one tab for AC repair. I have another tab for AC installation. I have another tab for heating repair. I have another tab for heating installation. I have another tab for HVAC repair, and you get the idea, right? So center image is possible. Yeah, that kind of looks funky, although nobody ever sees it. But yeah, okay, fine. Good catch, TJ. So that's, I have, in doing that with the tabs, you've got the H tag for the tab, that it makes like a little div with the name in it, at least the theme that I use. So it's got like this whole little themey thing going on, right? How wide of a theme? I do full width. I like my my sites look gorgeous. I use Elementor. So then within these tabs, again, I have a different set of images that I'm spinning for each tab. So here, where I've got the alt text for my keyword, that's the keyword for that tab, right? And all of my file names here, this keyword rich name and this more keywords, those are all going to be variations of that primary keyword that I'm trying to target in that tab. And so then in the H tag, I'm going to have 2 or 3 different variations where I'm spinning that in the, it's usually an H2 or an H3 down there. And so by the time I get done with all that, I have a minimum of 500 words in each tab, right? So yeah, normally I do 5 tabs of 500 words each. Exactly. All right. A little bit more than I was planning on getting into there, but okay. WordPress Builders. So because I was planning on doing a course, I went out and actually looked at more WordPress builders than I have used in the last couple of years. And I gotta say, man, there are some really real gems out there, and I use that term loosely. So there's some really interesting ones too that I hadn't actually used before, but most of them are interesting. So some of the things you're going to need, regardless of whether you're using a good one or a completely mediocre one, is you're going to need something. If you're going to do what I just shot you with the images, you're going to need a way to resize the images, right, in bulk. That's like, that was the first thing that my team wanted to shoot me about. They're like, how many images do you need? So so that's a lovely little inexpensive piece of software that will help you conquer that problem. Excellent. And then the next thing that you might need, I actually found one that could not spin text, right? So I did come across a couple months back this plugin that will allow you to spin text. Now, the thing that you have to be careful with if you're using a text spinner, a third-party text spinner, is JavaScript. And I'm trying to think. There was something else I ran into where it wants to take and spin that too. So you're going to want to make sure that that you might have to try a couple of things, like either get a plugin that allows you to take the JavaScript completely off page so that it doesn't, the spinner does its little spinning thing before the JavaScript is added in, or you might have to find a way to protect the JavaScript so that it doesn't get spun. I didn't dig too deep into that. I just know from some of the software that I use all the time, I have to put like little protective don't spin this thingies around it so that stuff that I don't want to have spun doesn't get spun. For SEO, I tend to use all-in-one SEO. Just trying to think. Yeah, in the members area, I talk about the settings that I use for all-in-one, and I'm pretty sure that they're the same settings that I use for mass builders. There's a couple of caveats, but I don't need to get into those today because I'm not going to talk about the things that will cause problems with those. And then spinning. I already shot you the link to the spinner. Okay, so good. All right, so ranking for the 25,000 keywords. This is where I was going to talk about what it is you do. So let me go into a little bit more detail here. For the primary keyword, you want to make sure that your primary keyword is in the URL, that it's in the title, that it's in the H1, and that it's at least once in the text. You're going to want to make sure that your secondary keywords are in the H2 and H3, either one or the other, at least once, and in the text, at least once. And all of that, primary and secondary keywords, those need to all be in the readable part of the text, not in the spin text. Now, The unfortunate thing about the way Google selects what the text is it's going to display in your SERPs is it doesn't necessarily always select the first time the keyword is on the page, but I would say 85% of the time it does. So the keywords that are important to you, even the tertiary keywords that are important to you, you should have at least once in the text, in the readable part of your text, the part that's visible, that's not spin text, right? Because you want that to sound good when it shows up in the SERPs. Otherwise, your click-through rate sucks. So I have it at least once. I go through and I make sure, I go back through, once I've done the entire page, I go back through and make sure that I've got all of my tertiary keywords up in the visible area somewhere. And if I don't do that right off and Google does index me, it can take a couple of weeks for it to change the entries in the SERPs. So that's that. And then, as I said, the spin tax, evil trick number 42, goes into how to do the spin tax in those tabs. All right. So over the shoulder, Mass Builder. So that the demo that I want to do for you guys, we're going to have a private Facebook group for the folks that are in this course. And I'm going to put it up to a vote so you guys have a say which builder you want me to use for the demo. And I'll just say that I can be bribed, and I won't say any more than that. But now, let's go on to some more tricks. Screaming Frog. Give me a one if you guys have not used Screaming Frog, like, ever. We'll see how long it takes to run. I'm going to try and run this really fast. All right, we've got a couple ones. So Screaming Frog is, we've got several ones. I've never heard a frog scream. That's amazing. I frequently call this tool Screaming Spider, just because. All right, it's going to take its sweet time to boot up. So, so here is what I want to show you. Let me just think about where has my little dog gone? I think it's this tab here. Yeah. All right. So I use Screaming Frog to create a sitemap. That's pretty straightforward, but I also use it to create the homepage index. So let me just talk about on-site linking for a minute, because this is really, really important. One of the things that I don't hear very often, but I hear it more in the mass build areas than I hear it in the regular build areas, is if you have, let's say your primary keyword is AC repair, because we were just talking about AC and HVAC a second ago. So let's say that your primary keyword is AC repair, and you want to rank for everything in the greater Phoenix metro area AC repair. So Mesa AC repair, Scottsdale AC repair, Phoenix AC repair. And by the way, I've had people ask me, I've had a lot of knowledgeable SEOs ask me actually, if it makes any difference whether it's SEO, whether it's AC repair Austin or Austin SEO repair. God bless. All right, my tongue's getting tied now. If it's AC repair Austin or Austin AC repair, and after much testing, it makes almost no difference. It used to be you had to have the keywords in the right order. Now, I experience much fewer rankings if I have another word in there. So if I have like Austin Best AC Repair, I will not rank as well for Austin AC Repair or AC Repair Austin. But so long as there's not another significant word in between the location and the primary keyword, it doesn't matter which order they're in. It doesn't matter significantly which order they're in. Just ever such a smidge, but not significantly. And I think part of it has to do with the size of the sites. Size definitely matters. Like, I just can't say that enough. Size matters. One experience I had, one of the first sites I put up, I had like 150 pages to start with, and I was ranking for, I'll say 30% of those keywords. And then I increased the number of keywords to like 350, but I was still only tracking those original 150 in one SERP book, and the number of keywords that I was ranking for within that original 150 doubled, only because I added the additional pages. I did nothing else. I didn't enhance that site significantly any further than it was. I just added more pages. All right, so lesson number 5,432, size matters. Mind you, that was lesson 1 through 5,432. Okay, so this next thing I want to give you, this is the other thing that I used Screaming Frog for. Did it come up finally? Maybe, perhaps. Yes, here we go. No, I don't want you to do that. I'm gonna like just try to do, nah, I need to spider something really quickly. Hang on. All right. I just need for it to rank a little bit, or to spider a little bit. There it goes. Come on, just give me a couple pages. Okay. So, as it spiders, Screaming Spider's got all of these tabs. It shows you a bunch of different stuff. If you're on the first tab, it shows you everything. But when you click into these other tabs, it shows you specific things. So I use this tab right here, Page Titles, and I grab these 3 columns right here. So I'm grabbing the address, the URL, the occurrences, and the title. And then I copy that. I'm just going to copy quickly. And then I pull it into this handy dandy little spreadsheet, right? This spreadsheet here. And it creates for me over here the HTML that I need to stick on the front page. So on the front page is the only place where I actually link to a page using the keyword like AC repair that I want to use. Everywhere else that I link on the page, I just use on the site, I just use the geolocation. Because when you have a 10-page site, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. You've got like 10 inbound links from your other 10 pages to a website, or to that one page on your website that's targeting your primary keyword term. But when you have 5,000 pages on your website and that you've got 5,000 inbound links that are all targeting Austin AC repair, Google looks at that and goes, I don't think so. So you do it once, and every place else you just use Austin or Austin, Texas, or Austin, Texas with the zip code, or however you want to do that for the link. Give me a 1 if that was coherent, and I need more coffee. A 2 if I need to say that again so that I say it with fewer errors. And this is slide 10, because I'm going to drop you guys the piece of code. I got a 2 and I got a 1.2. Let me drop you the piece of code. Let me pull this up again. All right, so let me say it one more time. On the home page, I'm going to link to the page with the title, right? The title, I just told you the keyword and the location need to be in the title. So AC Repair Austin is going to be in the title. So on the home page, I'm going to link to the Austin page with the keyword term Austin AC Repair. Everywhere else on the website where I link to that page, I'm just going to link to it saying Austin, Texas. The home page, yes, my home page links to all pages. I've tried this 2 or 3 different ways. I've tried it like creating a silo page and having the silo page link to all my other pages, and that doesn't work as well. It works 10 times better if the home page is the page that links to all my other pages. And so the way I get my site indexed in like 5 nanoseconds or less is I go to Webmaster Tools, I tell it about my website, and then up at the top, let me do that in a second. Hang on. Up at the top, I give it my home page that's got all my stuff in it. All right, so I want to give you this piece of, what I'm going to do is this over here that creates this thing that I put in the home page. This is a little piece of um, spreadsheet code, Google spreadsheet code, and I'm going to drop that spreadsheet code to you. And so long as you drop your content from Screaming Frog in columns A, B, and C, column D, you put this code in column D, and it'll create that link for you. It'll create the HTML that you need to drop onto your home page. Formula, yes, thank you. All right, good. So, Webmaster Tools. Let me just think about this for a second. It's going to take too long for Webmasters to load up. Okay, here we go. I've pushed my poor little computer to the absolute limit today. I should have rebooted before I started the webinar. I'm so sorry. All right, so it's thinking. If it takes much longer, I'm just going to repeat it. Here we go. All right, so I don't want to show you that website. Let's pick a different one. This one, I can show you this one. All right, so over here, like I would create my website. I tell Google about my website. The bottom of the drop down, you add your new website, right? And, excuse me, you go through the verification. Oh, important safety tip: if you want to track your website, put all of the keywords into your tracker before you do this trick, because I clue you what, by the time I do this trick and then I go over and I put my keywords into SERP book, they're already ranking, and then it doesn't look as cool. It bursts my bubble. So you do the SERP book first, and then I come up here and I put my home page that's got the link to everything. I put my home page in there, and I tell it to examine it, and it goes through and it says, it's fine, your page is fine. By the way, if there's a mobile error or something, go fix the mobile error first, right? Don't tell it to index it before you fix the mobile error. So, mind you, it'll index it anyway, but don't tell it to do so. So once everything is good, then you say, okay, yes, please include this page in my index, and it says, it comes back with this error message, warning message, and it says, don't submit your page twice, it won't bump it up higher to the queue. Like, couldn't bump it higher anyway. So I promise you, your site's going to be crawled. There's very rare, I think once in all of the sites I've done in the last 12 months, my site wasn't crawled immediately. It took it maybe like 2 hours. Most of the time, as I said, it's crawled before I can even get all the keywords stuck in the SERP book and starting to index. And usually when I do this, I have between 6 and 20 keywords that are going to be in the top 3 immediately. And then I have a whole bunch more that are going to be in the top 100, right? Like everything else. What it does is it indexes the first page for everything. So depending on how competitive the keyword is, the more competitive stuff is not going to be in the top 3. It takes it Tuesday. It comes around and it does the big bot crawl. And at that point, it reads the entire site. And it'll change it from being the home page to being all of the other pages. And at that point, these days, I end up with around 50% in the top 3 that next Tuesday. If I don't get it in early enough on Monday, if it's like after about 5 p.m. Mountain Time on Monday, it won't hit the bot on Tuesday. So I try to get it submitted by Sunday just to make sure I hit the Tuesday bot. Otherwise, darn, it takes a whole other week. And then I have another if I don't do anything to it, it'll, over the course of the 72 hours after Tuesday, it'll go up a little bit. Most of the time by close of business Tuesday, it's going to have ranked in the top 3 what it's going to have ranked in the top 3 for the first couple of weeks. And then after 30 days, it does another serious bump. And after 60 days, it does another serious bump. That's with absolutely no inbound links. I don't do anything to it. I don't do citations. I don't do social. I don't do anything. That's 100%. That's no traffic. That's no nada. I get those kinds of results. All right. So that's all about links. So then ranking tougher keywords. So as I said, I do end up with a percentage when I don't do anything, when I'm 100% hands off. I do end up with a percentage of my keywords, depending on how competitive it is, that don't actually rank in the top 3 without some help. So help tends to come in the form of traffic and inbound links. There's good ways and there are bad ways to do this. Traffic needs to be a really light touch. Now, if you think about this for a second, how many people look for AC, repair, Austin in a single day? Not too many. So great stuff. Good. I'm glad you're getting good stuff out of this, guys. Thanks. So don't come in with 10 searches a day. Google is going to give you the middle finger. It's not going to rank you. And then when you stop the traffic, it will bottom you out. Somebody was just telling me the other day of a way that they found to recover the domain, which I've got to test, but I haven't. Like when Google does that to you, you just walk away from the domain pretty much. So start gently. Start with just, for each keyword, just start, a couple times a week when it's got a geo in it. And then if that's not moving it, you could move it up a little bit, but just give it some time. Time. Be patient. And then inbound links, again, you want to go the long way around the house when it comes to inbound links. Let's say that AC Repair Austin is your most important keyword. It's the keyword with the most traffic on it. Do that keyword last. Rank for everything else first. Put some inbound links to everything else first. You always do branded links at the very beginning. And then and don't have a domain that's got the keyword in it. Do something oblique, because it's just too easy to over optimize when you've got the keyword in it. I have some that have got the keyword in it and I have gotten good results. You just got to be more careful. So my minions are getting restless. They're saying I'm talking too much. All right. So be gentle with the inbound links. Google Stacks give you a lot of different ways where you can have multiple links without having to create scads and scads of content. Remember to link out. If you're doing something about Ogden, you can link out to Ogden on the Ogden page, and there's really interesting ways that you can automate that. We can get into that later. Let me see how we're doing for time. Oh my goodness, 44 minutes. All right. Monetization methods. There are obvious ways to monetize this, right? Rank and rent, AdSense, affiliate, e-commerce, website flipping. I think lead gen is perhaps the most interesting, and it's also the most involved in terms of there's a lot of moving pieces, and it's the thing that I sold done for you sites a few months back, and I had I think 2 of the folks that bought those sites from me wanted to do lead gen, and I got on a call with them and talked to them for about a half an hour, but they came back with more questions about how to do the lead gen than anything else. So that I thought should be a thing that we would focus on in this class too. And then last, well, it's actually not quite last, grabbing more SERP space. There are things that you can do in your content that can allow you to grab more SERP space. Now, I've noticed that I don't get in the answers box for 30 days. It just takes 30 days for Google to process that, or for Google to admit that my site might be worthwhile. I'm not sure which, but after 30 days, I find that I can take up quite a significant amount of SERP space. They're not hard to get, specifically with the geo keywords. That's especially easy to do. So you just need to think about like the steps that are required to perform an action, depending on what it is that you're doing, depending on what kind of a local business. If you're doing a local business, think about the steps needed to actually do that, or a series of questions and answers that are relevant to your content. It's more difficult to do with e-commerce because each product is so different. But if you can work that into the content for your e-commerce products, then you can do that too. Keep your steps or answers short. They display better that way. And think about how you can open a loop so that people actually click through to your website. I've seen some of those steps where they're like, 10 steps, and Google only displays the first 7 and then it says, click here to read more. I'm like, ha, 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 I've got that traffic. So, oh, sorry, my voice gave out. Just a second. More coffee. All right, checklist. My checklist has 150 steps, so you can see, even though I've covered some really cool stuff in this webinar, I have not by any stretch of the imagination gone through 150 steps. I'm still not sure it's complete. I've just started actually working with outsourcers to, I have a few problems letting things go, right? I'm not OCD, honest. I'm quite sure that I'm not. I'm glad they don't have 12 steps for OCDs. Anyway, I'll know more about how complete it is as I start having my outsourcers do more and more of the sheet. Obviously, it's going to depend on which builder you're using, how many steps you've got. Things like OTP are super, super simple and very quick to put together. Definitely not 150 steps there, but then you get the result of that too. So, so I broke my spreadsheet down into different chunks so that different outsourcers could work on different sections. So I've got the tech stuff that comes at the beginning, and blog setup or the website setup. Housekeepings, for example, if you're in WordPress, you got to delete the default pages and the default blog posts and stuff like that. Set up your themes and plugins. So that's all kind of like the first person, the technical person, comes in and does that stuff. And then I've got another person that just works on the content and includes the monetization setup. And then it goes back to a tech person who does exporting and backup and that kind of stuff. And then it goes to the SEO department, which is me, right? I actually don't let anybody else touch that. I do the indexing, I do the ranking, I keep all my ducks in a row that way. But those are just some thoughts that you might have if you're looking to really ramp this up, how you might chunk that out to people. I would consider having probably 3 different people, at least 2 different people do that. So this, as I said, just the beginning. This is where we're getting started. So if you guys had fun today, as I said, we're going to do a whole course, right? And for the next 72 hours, we've got 50% off the course. For those of you who jumped into Extreme Ninja, this training is included in that. If you didn't jump into Extreme Ninja, you can still, but the price has doubled. It's still less than purchasing Mass Page Domination. Just to be really clear, if you purchase Mass Page Domination, you have that course. It's not a monthly recurring. It's just that price. Right now it's at $250. $249, $247, whatever, for the next 72 hours. And you purchase that once, you've got it for life. Extreme Ninja is a month to month. So if you subscribe, you're going to want to be in for at least the next couple of months, because this is going to be in webinars. I've got, I think it was either 6 more webinars planned. So I'm going to have 2 months, so it's probably going to be 3 months that we're going to have webinars for this thing. It's going to roll out a little bit over time, and we're going to have a Facebook group. Both the guys in Extreme Ninja and the folks who purchase this outright will have access to the Facebook group. Anything? I'm looking to see if there's anything that my team is saying to me that I forgot to cover or didn't cover. Oh, I was going to walk through the page really fast. Yeah, let me do that. So, I've got on here some samples from some of my sites. No, that's good. This is starting with slide 2, but that's fine. So, so this is SERP book. For those of you who don't know SERP book, this is a representation of the keywords in the top 3. So this has got like 89 keywords out of 172 keywords that are in the top 3 right now, so 52%. And I go through several slides that show you, I don't know why it's not flipping. Anyway, I go through several slides that show you the, there we go, the changes that have happened, the jump in traffic, the jump in keyword visibility, and the other thing I'll say is a lot of people talk about, a lot of folks who do mass builds, they talk about they get indexed really well for the first 30 days and then it falls off. Mine go up, right? Mine, I've had, there have been a couple of Google updates where my sites fluctuated a little bit and then they've always ended up stronger. I don't think I've ever had any that, I'm trying to think back. No, I haven't had anything where it's gone backwards, or it might go backwards for a day or two, but it doesn't go backwards permanently. Yeah, some of my older sites, the rankings didn't do as well as the later sites have done. I've definitely come up with some better stuff more recently. Here's a list of what it is that we're going to talk about, which is pretty much the same list of course contents that I covered on the first slide. Welcome. We're going to do the mass page. We're going to talk about case studies and results. I'm going to talk about individual types of builders, both HTML and WordPress. I'm going to get further into syntax. We're going to talk more about plugins. It's going to be more-ish. We're just going to go into a whole lot more detail about all the stuff that we covered here. Plus, we're going to do an over-the-shoulder. And then frequently asked questions. Are there upsells? Yes, there's an upsell on the inside. I'm going to do group coaching. So we're going to have the webinars, right? We're going to go through the webinars. But there's also going to be a group coaching where we'll have 3 different webinars, and I'll do them radically different times. I'll make sure that we have at least one in the evening and one on the weekend, so everybody's got the opportunity to be on one of the webinars. You can ask me anything. No questions about the stilettos and whips, guys. Not about the stilettos and whips. Anything else, all other questions, fair game. Do we need to buy anything else to make this work? Yes, obviously. You're going to need a mass builder. And depending on which mass builder you get, you might need other stuff. You're going to need domains. Be prepared for this to be addictive. So, I don't even know how many domains I've bought over at least 200 domains over the course of last year. You'll need some hosting. We'll talk about hosting. I'll tell you my favorite. I've got I host in 2 different places just to spread the love. But yeah, I'll get into specifics about all that kind of stuff and give you recommendations. And then if you really want to ramp this up, you'll need some outsourcers. How many lessons are covered in there? There are 10 lessons at the moment, but I just added one within the last hour before this webinar, so I reserve the right to add more and over-deliver further. Awesome. You guys got any questions? SERP book with a P. That's the thing I use for tracking. Yeah, I didn't mention that. You'll definitely need that. I've got 2 or 3 subscriptions. Right. So, is that relevant? So, there's only a couple of sections at the moment that have content. The rest of it's going to roll out over the course of the next couple months. There's 42 that I referred to. There's another one that I need to go in and massively update. I've been writing over in a Google Doc, and I need to go the section that's about all of the different builders and my reviews on them. I need to go update that. Yeah, okay, good. All right. So, did I drop the link to this? Oh, yeah, it was easy to type in. Let me drop you the link anyway. The important bit, right? Is everybody here subscribed to Extreme? Give me a 1 if you're subscribed to Extreme. Yeah, good chunk of you guys. I thought so. All right, well, you shouldn't buy it again. Exactly. All right. And for the rest of you guys, so yeah, I'll have the Facebook group going here within the next day or so. And there's a link on the inside of the training area where you can sign up for the webinar for this series. And for those of you that are in Extreme, I got to get you a link on the sidebar that comes over here to this course. That'll happen by close of business today. Yeah, awesome. So Loretta says, huge value as always. Thanks for today. Ah, okay, excellent. Hey, thank you so much. That's David, actually, for Loretta. I know you. I got your number. Thanks. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right. I love you guys. You have a wonderful weekend. We're back tomorrow and again on Saturday for giveaways this week. And then we've got 2 more next week, Monday and Tuesday, and then it's Christmas. All right. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everybody. Ciao.